Heyo, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley, and today I have 4 dinners that my family and I had over the week. All of the dinners this week were delicious, but there was definitely a clear-cut winner of which one was our favorite. Any recipes that I use throughout the week will be linked down below in the description, even if I change things up a little bit. Let's go ahead and get started into sharing our meals. Up first, we have ricotta and spinach stuffed shells. To start out with, I just started melting some butter and olive oil in my pan and sauteed some diced onion and garlic. I personally like any minced meat to be incredibly small and very finely kind of diced up, so that's why you see me go into town on that. So while that was finishing browning, I went ahead and started shredding some mozzarella cheese. When I got all done with that, I kind of set up a station here and gathered everything that I would need to go ahead and make the stuffed shell mixture. So into this large bowl, I'm going and adding a whole container of whole milk ricotta cheese. I think it was about 12 to 16 ounces. I'm adding 1 large egg. Next, I'm adding some salt and pepper to taste. And I'm going to go ahead and add all of my other cheeses. So I'm going to add some shredded Parmesan, some grated Parmesan, and about 1/2 cup of shredded mozzarella. I already added the salt and pepper to the dish, so I'm going to go ahead and finish out the seasonings by adding some granulated garlic powder and Italian seasoning. The recipe that I linked down below will give you the exact measurements if you want to follow that, but I season with my heart and to our preferences. Unfortunately, I lost the footage of my next little clip, but I'm positive that you all can use your imagination of me adding about 1/2 cup of frozen, thawed, drained spinach to this bowl and mixing it up. When my pot of water finally came to a boil that was good enough for me, I went ahead and added the jumbo shells in, and I believe I cooked them for about 7 or 8 minutes because you definitely still want them a good bit firm because they are going to finish cooking in the oven. So what you're going to do at this point is you are going to get comfy, you're going to stand here, and you are going to stuff all of these jumbo shells with your spinach and ricotta mixture. By the time I mostly filled the dish up with the ricotta and spinach filling, I knew that my kids would not be interested in trying this, so I took a few of the jumbo shells and just put a little bit of mozzarella cheese and Parmesan cheese into them. I did that for about 5 of them, and that is what the kids ate that night. Next, I added the browned sausage, onion, and garlic mixture that I cooked earlier to the top of the stuffed shells. Then I added a tiny bit more of the grated Parmesan because more cheese is good cheese. Added a jar of marinara sauce just right on top, and finished using up the shredded mozzarella and shredded Parmesan to make a nice bubbly crispy crust on top. Then I tinted this with tin foil and placed it in the oven at 375 for about 40 minutes. This dinner was absolutely 10 out of 10. It was so super good. I was actually shocked by that because I am not the biggest ricotta fan. Every time I've tried it previously, I have been less than impressed. And this time I splurged and I tried a higher quality one and it turned out for the best. So maybe give that a shot if you're on the fence about ricotta. This meal was personally my favorite meal of the week, and I will definitely be making it again. Next up, we just have a good old-fashioned homemade pizza night. I find these pre-made pizza doughs in the Walmart freezer section, and to be honest with you, they are some of the best pizza doughs I have ever tried. I try to make my own and they just don't come out quite as good as those do. So, hey, I guess that's all right. Saves me a little bit of time. So here I'm just going and shredding up a gigantic block of mozzarella cheese because obviously you need a ton of that whenever you're making pizza. So just a slight product recommendation: if you hate grating cheese like me, you can buy an attachment for your KitchenAid mixer, and this thing is a dream. I absolutely love it. I know I didn't use it in the last footage, but it is kind of a pain to clean. So if I only need like a little bit of cheese, I'll just use a hand box grater. But anytime I'm shredding any significant amount of cheese, this thing is dreamy. Here I just took one of the packages of dough and I separated it into 3 equal dough balls, and these are going to be the kids pizza and the leftover pizza. I'm going to use the other dough to make a different pizza for Noah and I with different toppings. Guys, I was struggling so hard with this pizza dough. This isn't really anything shocking to me. I've used this dough before, but every single time it kind of throws me off guard at how resistant it is to stretching out. It'll eventually happen, but you just got to keep working with it, and you got to be really patient. So give it some time, let it rest in between working with it, and it will eventually stretch out. And when you taste it, trust me, you'll know it was worth it because it is super, super good. Eventually, I got all 3 dough balls stretched out, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take some olive oil and I'm going to put a good bit underneath each pizza dough, and this is going to help kind of sizzle and brown up the bottom of the pizza. I also just put a little bit of olive oil on top of each pizza crust, and then I also made a little mixture of some olive oil, Italian seasoning, garlic powder, and Parmesan cheese that I just spread on the outer rim of the crust. Kids love helping me make pizzas. Sometimes we'll add some extra toppings to just a frozen pizza at lunchtime. So anytime we can make a pizza from scratch, they always want to be involved with most of the process, and I'm honestly happy to let them do that. So the shots may not be perfect here, but that's okay. I want to teach them how to cook, and I want to share my love of cooking with them. we were done setting up our toppings, I had the oven preheating to about 450, 475, depending on your oven, and you're going to cook this for about 12 minutes. It really doesn't take too long because your oven is going to be super hot. You're definitely going to want to use your eyes and your nose to tell when your pizza is done, because it's going to be a little finicky because you want to get a super deep caramelization on the bottom, and you are going to toe that line to burn. This dinner was really good. This was probably the kids' favorite dinner. They are pizza connoisseurs. This is the pizza that I made for Noah and I. It's mostly the same, but we use a slightly spicy sauce, and I also like olives on my half. And peek at that crust. It is super golden. It is nice and crunchy. This pizza dough is so good. Please try it. You will not regret it. For our third dinner, we just had a simple breakfast for dinner. This is a family favorite. This is something that I will usually make whenever I forgot to set a frozen meat out for the next day, or maybe I'm in a pinch and I don't have a whole bunch of time, or honestly, it's really easy to, so I'll just do it whenever I'm kind of tired. I'm going to go ahead and put my bacon on a baking tray, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in the oven at 375 for about 15 minutes. I'm sure by now most of you know that putting your bacon in the oven is the absolute best way to make bacon, in my opinion, because it virtually makes no mess and you can cook a large batch at a time. We also have a heated debate in my household. Team crispy bacon or team like soft floppy bacon. So let me know down in the comments below, what do you prefer, crispy bacon or soft bacon? Noah and the kids love soft bacon, but me personally, I need it crispy. I cannot do soft bacon. Let me know what you think down below. I saw a weird little red speck on one of the eggs, so I took the shell and went ahead and grabbed that off of it. And if you don't know that trick, it's really useful that, like, if you drop an eggshell or there's something in your eggs that you do not want in there, take the old eggshells and scoop it out. It will grab it perfectly and not slip away. For the seasonings on the eggs, I'm just adding in some Lowry's, some pepper, and some freeze-dried chives. I will add about a tablespoon of sour cream to this mixture and mix it up really, really well, and let it sit on your counter while you prepare everything else. Room temperature eggs really do make the best scrambled eggs, and if you have the time, try it out. This is the pan I'm going to go ahead and prepare the hash browns in. At the bottom, I just went ahead and heated at high heat about 2 tablespoons of butter and maybe 1 tablespoon of canola oil. Then I went ahead and added frozen hash browns on top of that once the oil was bubbling. I've tried to use other types of hash browns like the dehydrated or even fresh, and nothing really gets a crispy bottom like the frozen ones I've found, so I just keep using those. Next up is the seasonings. Once again, I seasoned with my heart, so I added some salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika. This is probably the best and most important tip for hash browns that I can give you. After you get them seasoned and you get them all set and nestled in your pan, don't touch them. Don't touch them for about 10-15 minutes. The goal is to let them really crisp up and caramelize on the bottom, and you'll see here when I flip them over, they have a beautiful golden brown color. Delicious, crispy and crunchy on the outside and still soft and potatoey on the inside. And here we go, some more butter, about 1 more tablespoon into the pan after the hash browns were done so you can still get some of that delicious hash brown flavor. I dropped the heat a ton on this, like I basically almost turned my pan off. And I'm just going to go ahead and slow and soft scramble these eggs. I just serve this how everybody likes their breakfast, so all of our plates look a little bit different, but most of us have eggs, bacon, hash browns, and fruit, maybe a bread of choice. I went ahead and made Noah and I just some breakfast sandwiches, and yeah, this meal's delicious. For our last meal, I would say this is probably definitely the family favorite of the week. We have the sausage and tortellini soup. So I am going to start by prepping some dinner rolls for the soup because I feel like you need a bread whenever you have soup. So these are just the Rhodes dinner rolls, and I'm going to go ahead and place them in a greased pan, and I'm also going to spray the top of them again so that when I put the saran wrap over top and they rise, they will not stick to the saran wrap. You go ahead and just let these rise for about 3 to 4 hours. We're going to go ahead and get started on the soup here. So at the bottom of my pot, I went ahead and melted about 2 tablespoons of butter and added to that about 1 medium diced onion and looks like maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. Once again, I measure garlic with my heart, so the recipe will be linked down in the description box if you would like more accurate measurements. Next, I just went ahead and added some salt and pepper because I season at every step along the way. I'm just going to go ahead and let that soften down and kind of marry all the flavors together. After that softens for a bit, I'm going to go ahead and add in my 1 pound of ground sausage. After I mash the meat down with my handy dandy meat masher, I'm going to go ahead and add my seasonings in. I'm going to go ahead and add some salt, pepper, a good bit of Italian seasoning, and this is a seasoning that was not called for in the recipe, but honestly, I have been adding this to a lot of recipes that it doesn't necessarily call for, and that is lemon pepper seasoning. If you look at the ingredients on the back, it's basically just lemon peel and pepper, so it adds a nice little acidity to your dish if you don't have lemons on hand. After everything's been browning and kind of melding together for a while, I went ahead and added in most of a bag of frozen carrots. I personally use a lot of frozen vegetables. The convenience and the lack of worry about them spoiling or going bad before I use them is really worth it to me, and I think it's a pretty helpful little tip. Next, you need to add about 6 cups of chicken broth. So what that looks like for me is I'm going to go ahead and add 6 cups of regular water, and then I'm going to take my Knorr powdered chicken bouillon and just go ahead and add the appropriate amount to that. Actually, I added a little bit more because we like flavor over here. Go ahead and mix that together, and you're going to want to let your soup come up to a rolling boil at this point. Now, right here, you're going to see me adding in about a can of tomato paste. I forgot to do this step at the beginning. Preferably, you would like to saute your tomato paste with the diced onion and minced garlic in like the very first step. It's going to give it a really nice toasty flavor, but I forgot about it and I added it whenever I remembered, and it turned out just fine. After your soup has come to a boil, you're going to go ahead and add in your either dried or frozen tortellini. I had a little bit of both left, so I just went ahead and used what I had. And then I'm also going to add about half a cup to a cup of frozen, then thawed, then drained spinach to the pot. Stir it together. Finally, you're going to add anywhere between another half a cup to a cup of heavy cream. I personally like when soups have time to sit and marry the flavors together, so after this step, I just put a lid on it and kind of let the soup hang out until we were ready to eat, which was about 3 hours from then. When the rolls were finished rising, I went ahead and melted about 1/3 of a stick of butter and spread that all over top of them, and then just sprinkled a little bit of flaky sea salt on top. These rolls bake at 350 for about 20 minutes. Guys, you know this soup was good. I mean, look at this. This looks like good food. For real though, it was absolutely delicious. Like I said, this one was totally the family favorite because there was some part of this that everybody really, really loved. I'm going to be honest, my kids are really picky eaters and I cannot get either of them to try soup. But you know what they do love? They love bread. And these rolls were demolished by the end of the night. That's going to wrap up this week's What's for Dinner. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope maybe you got a new recipe idea. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video if you liked it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!